Hey, how's it going? My name is Craig Thomas and I'm here at the Majete Animal Care Centre in collaboration with Worldwide Veterinary Service, who helped set the care centre up. I am the Conservation Operations Manager in the reserve. This is my daily office when I'm not out in the bush. Our chief job is to monitor 6 key species in the reserve and ensure that those species, for whatever reason, are either growing in population or maintained in population for various reasons. For example, elephants are a keystone species and can shift the landscape massively. Understanding their population, the dynamics within, and everything that entails is obviously very important to ensuring that Majete as a system stays healthy. We have just over 14,000 large mammals in total. This includes lions, leopards, and then a lot of herbivores. Buffalo, there's also quite a lot of waterbuck, sable, hippos also, and then we have the big 5, including black rhino. We also then have wild dog and cheetah, of which we monitor both species, just to make sure that the populations are growing and that if they do grow, we are able to help support a meta-population. What that basically refers to is the broader population across the African landscape. So if our population gets big enough, we can move some animals to a different country and kind of bolster the populations in those places, and that's a really rewarding aspect of this job. It's quite a varied job and anything can happen on any given day. If I was to describe a day in my life, or in the life of someone that works here, I would say that morning normally starts with tracking of some sort. In our case, often it's health checks on pangolins. So we get a lot of pangolins that are confiscated from the illegal wildlife trade. WVS then helps to treat the pangolins and ensure that they get to a reasonably healthy state. However, at the end of this, we got to make sure that the animals are able to fend for themselves out there. So we release them with a tag on their back. We then just go and double check that they're picking up weight or moving really in a healthy way, and after a while we'll take that tag off. Another thing that we got up to today is we just checked on our serval. We gave them some food. So serval are a small cat species in Africa, and the reason we fed them was because we have them in a boma at the moment, and we are soon to open that up and then release them into the wild. My favorite animal to work with would probably be the elephants, just because I think it's always a very humbling experience when you get into such close proximity with an animal like that. Very often we'll be parked quite far away and an elephant actually out of curiosity would come pretty close to our vehicle, almost as if to say hello, acting as if they're eating, or sometimes actually eating right close to the vehicle. You can always watch their eyes and you can see they're kind of staring at you, just looking, what is going on? Like, why is this car watching me? So it's always, that's definitely a special aspect of the job. We're obviously very privileged, there's so many lovely animals contained in Majete, from the small birds that come and drink at the water hole that we have right here at the office, all the way to the elephants, to the lions, to the leopard. That's what makes it such a special thing, is that you're protecting from the smallest caterpillar up to the biggest animals, all within one system. You can't really quantify it, but it just takes you to spend some time out here to really understand just how special it is. Another massive aspect of this job is working with lions. The reason for this is that lions are just really good at surviving. They're really successful, and they've done really well in Majete. As an apex predator, they were always going to thrive in a fenced reserve like this. They were reintroduced in 2012 with only 4 lions starting off in that population, and we then bolstered the population just to try and get some new genetics in, and currently, as of 2025, we're sitting with about over 80 known lions and we suspect around 100. So it's a really good recovery story, and now the hard work really begins, because we have to try and manage our population a bit more effectively. Majete is a closed system, which means that we've got a fence all the way around, and in order to kind of reduce the risk of human-wildlife conflict, or intra-lion predation competition, we definitely want to move a couple of lions away from Majete and translocate them to other places. So we're very actively looking to kind of do that and just manage the population in a more responsible way. We've done a number of things. WVS helped us with the contracepting and giving a couple of the males vasectomies. We also translocated a few lions already. However, we would really like to translocate a couple more, just to kind of reduce the population and mimic a slower growth rate that would occur in a bigger, larger natural ecosystem, where lions experience more natural phenomena such as emigration and immigration into the population, basically just simulating what would happen in the real world in a much smaller sort of closed environment is exactly what we're aiming to do. So speaking of lion work, I think it's important to talk about how WVS and Majete came about as a partnership. It actually started when the park manager of Majete took his cat up to the BSPCA and met Dagmar, and they got talking. And before we knew it, Dagmar was in Majete helping to manage the lion population, putting collars on and try and get a better understanding of the lions here. That kind of developed, and then it really kicked into place when we knew that we were getting a canine unit in the reserve and the dogs would be joining. But WVS would obviously be willing to help with all the veterinary care for the dogs. You know, that sort of rolled into more wildlife work and WVS becoming more and more involved. And yeah, then I came on board actually after all of that had happened already, and I met Luke one day at a lion darting and kind of just kicked off from there. And then, yeah, since then we've built this lovely clinic. We've got a new canine unit that WVS has also helped to sponsor. And yeah, it's been a really great partnership and I'm really grateful for it.